Yeah. Blackjack. Life is like a game of cards. It's not what you dealt, but how you play it. Yeah. Blackjack. To play each situation correctly. I remember they used to laugh at a brother.
Welcome back, guys. Welcome back. It's your boy DELRAY Richardson, platinum artist, platinum songwriter, StraightGameTV. I'm gonna get right into it. Check it out. The question comes from my man. He's from Phoenix, Arizona, right? And he wanted to know, was there a real beef between Tupac and Ice Cube? And I'm gonna clear this up for y'all, man. Absolutely, positively not. There was no beef between Tupac and Ice Cube. Actually, Cube and Pac was real cool with each other. They never really had any kind of words or anything like that in regards to any differences that they had in common. They had a friend. Pac was dating Yo-Yo and dealing with her and real close with her, Cube. She was under Cube's Lynch Mob Records. And with his label, or dealing with him under that situation, and then she got her own deal. And so, let's be clear. Pac was kind of, Pac was an ultimate fan of hip hop and believed in that thing that showing that you're a supreme MC and claiming your spot once you have your spot. You know what I mean? And so, that's basically what it was about. Tupac was basically saying that, at the time when he had got out of jail, and he had did the August was it August 27th interview with Rob Marriott, he was basically saying that that Cube had heard Hit 'Em Up, and so then Cube dropped Bow Down, and he was basically mimicking off of what Tupac had did when he did Hit 'Em Up. And that's absolutely positively not true. See, least we forget, and you got a lot of these new guys who are fans of hip hop, but really haven't really did their history a lesson about hip hop. Let's be clear. You heard Death Certificate, right? You heard America's Most Wanted, right? You heard No Vaseline, right? Now, it's argued amongst a lot of hip hop fans that Hit 'Em Up is the best diss song of all time, and I agree with that. Hit 'Em Up is basically Pac came out and he scorched the earth with that. You know what I mean? But that was directed at a few people, and so was Ice Cube's record No Vaseline. So they stand on their own 2 feet individually. So if you want to talk about who did it first and showed who how to do it, it was Ice Cube with No Vaseline who showed Pac how to do Hit 'Em Up. You understand what I'm saying? And this is what's rarely talked about. So Tupac knew that, and so what Tupac had to do was come out and basically claim that he was the Don at that particular time. And when you talk about being the Don at that particular time, that's after All Eyes on Me it came out. And Tupac was sitting at the top of the world. He was. But let's be clear. Ice Cube, overall, when you're talking about MCs on the West Coast, the guy who had the most impact, really set the tone, wrote for Eazy-E, wrote for Dr. Dre, and wrote for a lot of people. Like I said, once again, you talk about hit records, and then branched off from NWA. And when people at that particular time, you remember, didn't think that Cube was going to do well if you were paying attention to hip hop. You know what I mean? And like I said, then he dropped that America's Most Wanted, and it was done. It was a wrap. It was like, whoa, the record sales that he had did at that time were unprecedented. You know what I mean? For a West Coast artist and doing what he was doing coming from NWA. So Pac basically was, he was in hip hop mode. I can't let, Ice Cube come and do this, you know what I mean? And basically, try to steal my spot or steal my shine by dropping Bow Down because Tupac knew that Cube was a master of this thing, man. Cube wasn't new to this. You know what I mean? He knew how to, come and drop something down. And Pac basically was like, on this is basically what he said. Listen.
I dig Ice Cube. I looked up to him. But because I looked up to him and I studied his style, mastered his shit, I know what he's doing is wrong. His shit ain't selling, so now he's going on the war shit, and he's using us as the gas. He just dropped some shit called Bow Down. And if you listen to it, you can see he hit him up and was like, oh, that's how it's supposed to be. Why he wasn't making him bow down when I was in jail? That's what I mean. That's wrong. See, now that's wrong. And I'm not going to let that happen because then that would make me obsolete. If I let him come back and you can't have this.
So when you understand that, that's hip hop. That's the confrontational thing about hip hop, And so when Pac say, well, why he wasn't making them bow down when I was in jail, what he was doing no Vaseline before you even thought about hit him up. You see? So let's be clear. When you are clear on that, then you understand what that whole situation was about. But, you have people running around talking about that Tupac had beef with Ice Cube. Stop the nonsense. You got people talking this, man, who didn't know Tupac, who don't know Ice Cube. And so once again, if you're listening to people who talk, they're just talking about stuff that's basically in the public domain. I know this for a fact that Tupac didn't have anything against Ice Cube, man. You know what I mean? There were very few people that Tupac had a beef with in regards to hip hop because Tupac was such a fan of hip hop. You know what I mean? And fan of all of the guys who came before him. Just like he did, and he basically shouted out most of those people in his song on Me Against the World, Old School. So once again, you got a lot of people talking about things that they don't really know nothing about. There's no beef. Don't nobody have any kind of truth in regards to that. Basically what they have is their opinion. When you talk about facts and truth, you actually had to talk to the person to find out, where their head was at that particular time in regards to what they were doing. And the only thing that Tupac was doing is basically claiming his allegiance to the game at that particular time, saying, nah, y'all, you can't come and do that. You know what I mean? I can't let you do that. It ain't happening like that. And he basically didn't do a song or anything like that about Cube like he did in regards to, hit him up. He basically said it in an interview. You know what I mean? So he was basically putting it out there. If Cube wanted to come back and say something, Tupac would have definitely responded to Cube. You know what I mean? And that's just that fundamental thing that we do in hip hop. You know what I mean? If somebody's at the top of the game, lyrically doing their thing, somebody might throw a shot at him, just like Chino XL threw a shot at Pac. You know what I mean? When Pac was in jail, talking crazy, saying something incendiary, hoping to get a spark, hoping to, sell some records off of that, you know what I mean? And so, Tupac said what he said. And after Chino had said what he said, and then, like I said, and that was all basically addressed and hit him up. So now here come Ice Cube, not mentioning Tupac's name, but basically, claiming to be the Don of the West Coast. And I got to say it, and I got to be honest. Cube was the Don of the West Coast, I would say up until Tupac, came out and did his thing. But let's not forget, even before that, on that level, you had Snoop. Snoop was that motherfucking guy, man. He was that guy, and even though if you can overlap it, or it overlaps a little bit, but Snoop came out and Snoop did crazy numbers. And then in what's it, 93, you know what I mean? When Tupac, when he dropped 93, 94, when he dropped Me Against the World, Pac did crazy numbers and he wasn't even on the street. That was the crazy thing about that, was like, oh, whoa, like, and I don't think that record Me Against the World would have done as well as it did if Tupac was out, because the thing was this is the first time a guy who's in jail releasing a record. You know what I mean? We didn't even know that he could work that hard and be like, yo, he did a record before he went to jail. You know what I mean? Not knowing he was going to jail at all, period. You know what I mean? But being prepared and having done a record, and then the record dropping, and then you had Dear Mama, you know what I mean? Then you had Shed So Many Tears, you know what I mean? And all of the other records that were on that record, you know, were great records. Don't get me wrong, but like I said, I just think if he was free, I don't think people would really have been on it like that, like they were with the fact that he was incarcerated. Because now I can't really have or see Tupac, but I can have this record, and hold on, and the record's brilliant, and the record's phenomenal. You know what I mean? You know, when you sit back and you think about the music and the art itself, separating the artist from the art, not being able to see the artist, but being able to obtain the art. You know what I mean? So when you understand that, but yeah, overall, nah, Tupac didn't have no beef with Ice Cube. Ice Cube and Tupac were good people, good folks. And like I said, you know, Cube, he didn't have to beef with Tupac. But like I said, Tupac was just basically claiming his allegiance. You know, he was that type of guy. You know, you seen De La Soul, you know, all of those guys, you know, he went at the Fugees. You know, anybody who looked like they were coming and they were going to claim that top spot or trying to get that top spot, Tupac said something about him instantly. You know what I mean? And if they said something back, he would love that even more. You know what I mean? Because now, you know, he knew that he could probably, you know, destroy them or try to destroy them, but in the same time, creating that whirlwind of publicity and hype to keep himself relevant. He understood how to do that. And I would think more so than any artist, any hip hop artist that's ever been released before. Tupac was the guy who understood how to gaslight things and keep things going and keep that spark going. There was no beef. There was all love. It was friendly competition, and it was hip hop. And hip hop has always been like that. Everybody always came for the top dude, the top spot. Somebody was coming for you. They want to try you lyrically, say something slick about you. And if they could get something going on, you know, a back and forth, you know what I mean? Couple of diss records, couple of jewels dropped in a record against each other, then it was all good. And it was all, you know, all fair and love and hip hop, man. Your boy DELRAY, Straight Game.